Support comes from the St. Louis Chamber Chorus. Season 68 concludes at John Burroughs at 3 p.m. on May 26th with the United Nations commissioned Voices of Today by composer Benjamin Britten, featuring youth and adult singers. Tickets at chamberchorus.org.
This is St. Louis on the Air from St. Louis Public Radio. I'm Elaine Cha. This coming Tuesday, in a downtown St. Louis courtroom, a judge will hear arguments as to why the 1991 murder conviction of Chris Dunn should be vacated. Dunn has spent more than 30 years in prison, and his case is remarkable for several reasons. For one, the two eyewitnesses who identified him as a killer in 1990 both recanted later. And in 2018, a Missouri judge said that given the same case, without those witness IDs, no jury would then convict Dunn. Another reason Chris Dunn's case stands out is that two St. Louis prosecutors have agreed that he is innocent. First was Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner. In May 2023, she announced she'd seek to vacate Dunn's conviction. But just days after that, Gardner resigned. Her successor, Gabe Gore, did his own review, and he too believes that Chris Dunn is innocent. Chris Dunn spoke with St. Louis on the Air producer Danny Wicentowski from the South Central Correctional Center in Licking, Missouri, just days after Gore announced he would seek to get Dunn out of prison. Danny began by asking Chris Dunn to describe what it was like to get news that another St. Louis prosecutor agreed he was innocent.
It was hard for me to express myself because, to be honest with you, I've been down this road before. And I wasn't sure what to expect. And after Judge Yickel made his determination, and still I sat in prison 5 years after that, and then after Kim Gordon made her determination that I was innocent, and still I sat in prison after that, and now the new circuit attorney for the city of St. Louis made the same exact judgment, but with a little bit more from my understanding.
Let me ask you about that point you brought up. This is the third time you've gotten this kind of news. Are you feeling maybe more protective of your feelings or your expectations?
I have to be protective of my feelings, because if I choose not to, then I will be denying myself. Or better yet, it's like trying to visualize hope being introduced to justice. If the two ever met, what would they say to each other if they saw me? I never saw justice before. I never seen hope. So I wouldn't know what the two looked like if they were staring at me dead in my face. And to sit in prison after hearing it for the third time, to vacate, is a relief, sure. But I still have to live in prison with the uncertainty that I may possibly die in prison, because we just got over one of the largest hurdles, but we haven't reached the finish line yet.
You know, Chris, it strikes me that the experience of people who are in your position, a lot of times, you're not in control of the timing of things. So much about the justice system is out of your hands. For someone who has had to deal with a justice system that takes so many tools away from you, to have what happened with Gardner and then to have that taken away for another set of just, a chaotic series of events that you didn't control, what does that feel like? How do you maintain some strength after that kind of reversal?
Wow. I grew up in the inner city of St. Louis, in a Wells Goodfellow neighborhood. But I also grew up in a home, with both my parents and 3 sisters. But I grew up with an extended family. My whole community was my family. I have seen more hurt I have felt more hurt and seen more drama than an average child. So not to say that I was conditioned to endure. What happened to Kim Gardner was very unfortunate. And it was something, like you said, I had no control over. All I could do, sir, is at that time is focus on what I could control. And that was my emotions. I knew from all the disappointments in the past, from childhood till now, I could not rely on the system to do the right thing at that moment, especially when so much was going on. Every day that I wake up, above this ground, is a day that I have to say that I'm blessed. It's another day that I have to continue to fight to get home to those that I love, and those who have stood and fought with me, those who still believe that I am completely innocent. I can wake up and be bitter if I wanted to, but what would it get me? Where would it get me? Probably the ass egg, probably the hole. It would not get me back out in society because my better judgment would be clouded. So I have to focus on what is the greater picture now. And that's to visualize myself with my family.
I know this might be a sensitive area to ask about the witnesses who had led to your first conviction. Is there anything that you can tell us of how you feel about what they've gone through and the fact that they have recanted?
Can you imagine being 12 years old and being shot at, and then turning around and have to be told by a friend to lie? But then, a year later, being told or influenced to lie by the police or the victim's mother. Then stating that you didn't want to testify because you wasn't sure originally, but you would continue to be coerced. That was a child, a kid. I remember what I was like when I was 12 years old. I remember the life that I had, the innocence that I lived, but also what I've endured. I learned to accept the fact that both witnesses, the 12-year-old as well as the 14-year-old who accused me of this crime, I understand that they made a mistake. They were young. We all make mistakes. Sure, it took them 15 years to come back and admit to the first mistake. Then it took an additional 10 years to locate the other witness over 2,000 miles away with the assistance of 3 different attorneys and 4 different investigators. It hurted to hear them say that I was guilty of a crime that I didn't do, or that I committed a crime that I didn't do. But it kind of soothed my soul to hear them say why they lied. Because that's all I ever really wanted to know. Why would they lie? On someone like me, out of anyone in the neighborhood, especially someone like me. And I understand, and I forgive them. I forgive them both, because they was children. They was kids who made a mistake, but a mistake that they chose to right now. And we got to give them that. We can't hold it against them. We all have to learn to let go and move forward. The past is only going to hold us back. It's good to learn from it, but to hold on to any ill feelings or negativity towards them is only stagnating my own growth or any progress that I wish to make in life. So I forgive them.
That was Chris Dunn. He spoke with our producer, Danny Wicentowski, earlier this spring by phone from the South Central Correctional Center in Licking, Missouri. This coming Tuesday, a St. Louis judge will hear arguments to vacate Dunn's conviction. Dunn is represented by the Midwest Innocence Project and has the support of St. Louis Circuit Attorney Gabe Gore. Opposing the effort is Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey.
This episode was produced by Danny Wicentowski.
Our executive producer is Alex Hoyer.
St. Louis on the Air is a production of St. Louis Public Radio. Understanding starts here.
Do you find yourself regularly listening to episodes of St. Louis on the Air? Suggest us to a friend you think might enjoy our conversations, and leave us a review and rating on Apple Podcasts on the App Store. It's the simplest way to help people discover our show. Thank you.
St. Louis Public Radio is a member-supported service of the University of Missouri St. Louis.
The Gateway brings you the day's news from the St. Louis region and across Missouri. It also includes stories from the Illinois side of the river and our Metro East reporter, Will Bauer.
In Alton, in Belleville, in East St. Louis, in Edwardsville, in Cahokia Heights, at Scott Air Force Base, I'm Will Bauer. St. Louis Public Radio.
Listen to reports from Will and all of our journalists weekdays on the Gateway, on the STLPR app, and wherever you get podcasts.